Do you know, before I watched this movie, I never realised just how hated Return of the Living Dead Part 2 actually is. I don't think I've came across one positive review for this movie. And if there was like one that thought like it wasn't bad, they all think Part 1 is far better than Part 2. So I went into this movie expecting to feel the same because of the majority of people actually hate this. And I'm kind of scared to give this review because I feel like I'm going to blow some minds and break the internet. So before I give my opinion on Return of the Living Dead 2, let me just wet the whistle. Oh, I actually wish this was something stronger. Right, let's get into it. Hey guys, how's it all going? And thank you so much for joining me as always. It's an absolute pleasure having you with me. And I have to apologise about the wait on this. I was originally supposed to have it out last week, but life just got in the way, guys. And this is literally the first time I've been able to do this. So thank you for your patience. I really do appreciate it. Now, Return of the Living Dead Part 2 from 1988. Now, I'm just going to rip the band-aid off and just get this out the way. And then I'm going to explain myself. I really do enjoy this movie. I think it's an absolute blast. I had so much fun watching this that I cannot understand the hatred or the criticism that this film gets. I don't get it. I don't. And I feel like I'm probably the only person on this planet that feels that way. It's how it feels anyway. I think there's so much to love about this movie. I really do. Now, the second part of this is, do I think this is better than Part 1? Yes, I do. Oh, I know some of you have just turned off right there or screaming at this review. I get it. I'm probably going to lose some subscribers over this. But I've got to be honest, guys, and it's my opinion. I like this better than the first movie. Now, I think the reason why I do is because I like the slapstick and the goofiness of it. This is not a horror movie by any stretch of the imagination. And I feel like with Part 2, it definitely feels like it was kind of filmed more for kind of, I don't want to say kids, because I still think it would scare younger children, but I think by having like the main lead as a child as well, it kind of feels like it was done for a little bit of a younger audience this time around. And there's a hell of a lot more comedy in here. But it lands for me. Like, it does, it lands for me. I was laughing quite a lot throughout this movie. And I will say this as well. I think the zombies look far better in this than Part 1. And I thought they looked good in Part 1. Now, I am not slagging off Part 1. Like, don't get me. I feel I'm on the defensive now. I like Part 1. I really do like it. If you go back and watch my review, guys, you'll know how much I do enjoy it. But I just get more of a kick out of Part 2. I just do. And I like the way the zombies look, like I just said. I really do. I think some of the effects in this movie are brilliantly done. Especially for its time. And I love the part where the zombies are actually coming out the ground, and it's very slapsticky. Like one zombie can't see until she gets her glasses on. Next one comes up, gets stood on his hand. So when the next zombie full comes, he moves his hand away. And then as he thinks he's all in the clear and he's happy about himself, he gets stood on his head and put back in. Another zombie falls into an open grave. You know, I love all that shit. So it ticked like every box for me going. And I think this is quite decently paced. It picks up the action a lot quicker. And it doesn't really stop until the end. And yes, I like the cheesy Michael Jackson zombie at the end in the thriller where they're being electrocuted and he spins around. I know there's a lot of you hate that. Hate it. Right? But I quite enjoyed that part. I like the severed head with the screwdriver in it. Get the damn screwdriver out of my head. Love it. Love it. I love the guy when he's fighting with the zombie and they're rolling around in the front room. They knock into the TV remote control. And then the aerobics lady comes on. He looked quite nice, by the way, I'll say. Stops the zombie in his tracks and just starts watching the TV. You know, it worked. It absolutely worked for me. And it reminded me a lot of how I felt watching Chud 2, But the Chud. And one of you guys in the comments in that review did put down that was supposed to be a sequel to Return of the Living Dead, but obviously got changed around in the script, so it went more towards a Chud sequel. And I can 100% see it. I really can see it. Now, do I think this is a perfect movie? Oh, no, not at all. No, it's not. Right? It's not. And I do have a few negatives. And it's the same as the first one. It's the same two actors. Now, a slight positive when it does come to these two is they didn't irritate me nearly as much as what they did in the first one. But there were moments where they were coming a little bit unbearable for me again. And I was like, oh my God. Especially the older guy. I can't remember the actor's name, I don't know, but he plays Ed in this one. So they're playing two completely different characters. But they're basically the same role, if that makes any sense. Like, this movie feels like more of a remake of the first movie than an actual sequel. So they bring these two characters back as different people, but they have the same arc. And I just found that pointless, to be honest with you. I mean, recast them, sure, give them different character roles, completely. But don't rehash the same thing that happened in part one. And to be fair, as much as they annoyed me in part one, actually did it better. So there is that for me. And the Brenda character, and I think her name was Brenda, she annoyed the shit out of me more than anyone in this movie ever. Oh, do you know, talking about characters, I've completely forgot one in my positives. I just jumped straight into my negatives with it. And it's the guy that plays the Doc. I loved him. Loved him. He had some cracking one-liners in this. And I thought he was brilliant. Like, of all the characters I could relate to in this movie, I related to him the most. It just, nothing really seemed to faze him, and all he wanted was a drink. That's a man after my own heart right there. You know what I mean? I loved him. I thought he was great. But yeah, just jumping back into the negatives, I just thought that whole storyline with them, just, it didn't need to be in there. But they weren't as annoying, which, thank God. You know, they weren't crying or screaming or moaning as much. Like, oh, Tina! Oh, you know, all down the first one. Oh, fuck off, man. But yeah. Yeah. But I haven't even explained the plot of this movie. I've just literally just dived into, like, trying to defend myself for liking this movie. Guys, it's a simple plot. It's basically the same as the first movie. There you go. That's it. You don't... Zombies rock up and cause mayhem. That's it. And I will say one thing that part one did better was Tarman as well. Didn't really like the look of Tarman in this one. And that's another one you don't... If you can't do it better, don't bring it back. Don't rehash it. But I didn't think it looked terrible. I just thought it was a lot more, it's more iconic for part one. So when, fans of the series or horror fans think of Tarman, they think of Tarman from part one, not part two. And I completely get that. But guys, all in all, I honestly, I prefer this one over the first. I do. I'm sorry. I know I'll probably upset some of you, but I'm sorry. I've got to be honest. So, guys, I gave the first one a high score. I gave it a 4 out of 5. But I am going to rate part 2 higher. So, I am going to give part 2 a 4.5 out of 5. So, guys, if you still subscribe to me and you still watch my videos and you still stick around and you still follow me on Twitter, thank you. Thank you so much. If you've decided to bin me off and break up with me, I am broken-hearted, but I will heal. Alright guys, I will heal. I hope you don't hate me too much. But as always guys, thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure. And, I'm still going to stick to my original list that I've do. So I've got Fright Night 1, Fright Night 2 and Night the Creeps coming up next. But I've never seen Return of the Living Dead Part 3. And it seems to get a little bit of love. So I'm going to give Part 3 a go after I've done my original list next. So I will be doing Part 3. And guys, please stick around for that. And as always, please take care of yourselves and each other. And I will see you again real soon. Take care, guys. Goodbye now.